The 15 Senses, Unlocking the Fullness of Being. Part 1. Rediscovering the Body's Senses. Chapter 1. The Forgotten 10. Close your eyes for a moment. Listen. The hum of life surrounds you. The distant rumble of traffic, the whir of a ceiling fan, perhaps the rise and fall of your own breath. In this simple act, you are using one of your 5 senses. Now imagine that this is all you had. No taste of food, no sight of light, no warmth of touch. Would you truly be alive? For centuries, we've been told a simple story. Humans have 5 senses. Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch. This tidy package has been passed down from Aristotle's philosophy to elementary school classrooms, a neat way to explain how we experience the world. And yet, that story is incomplete. The truth is that 5 senses barely scratch the surface of who we are. They are not the full symphony of human perception, only the opening notes. Beneath them lies a hidden architecture of awareness, a deeper design woven into body, soul, and spirit. This book is about the other 10 senses, the ones our modern world has ignored, misunderstood, or forgotten entirely. The problem of the 5, let me tell you a story. A neuroscientist once placed a man in a pitch-black room. No light, no sound. The temperature was controlled so perfectly that his skin could not tell hot from cold. The air was filtered to remove all scent. There was nothing to taste, nothing to see, nothing to hear. After only a few hours, the man began to hallucinate. He felt like he was floating, then falling. Shapes swirled before his mind's eye, though his eyes were closed. Time itself unraveled. Minutes felt like days, then seconds. The scientist's experiment revealed something astonishing. When our 5 physical senses are shut down, other senses emerge. The man's imagination roared to life. His memories became vivid, almost tangible. His inner world stepped forward when the outer world went dark. This experiment echoes an ancient truth. We are more than flesh. We are more than neurons firing in the dark. The physical senses are only doorways. Beyond them lie the senses of the soul and the senses of the spirit. Body, soul, spirit. The human being is a threefold mystery: body, soul, and spirit. The body is the most obvious. It is what we can touch and measure, the realm of biology and neuroscience. Its 5 senses allow us to navigate the physical world, to taste food, see danger, hear music, smell flowers, feel a loved one's embrace. But there is also the soul. The soul is the seat of your personality, your thoughts, your emotions, your choices. It has its own kind of perception, different from the physical senses, yet just as real. When you imagine a future that hasn't happened, or feel the ache of heartbreak though no one has touched you, you are sensing through the soul. And beyond even that is the spirit, the deepest core of who you are. The spirit is where we connect to what is eternal, to the divine, to meaning itself. Its senses are subtle but powerful. Through them, we experience awe, transcendence, faith, and the quiet whisper of something greater than ourselves. In total, this gives us 15 senses. 5 of the body, 5 of the soul, 5 of the spirit. When they work together, they form a complete picture of reality. When they are fragmented or neglected, we live in distortion, seeing only a sliver of what is truly there. Why this matters now? We live in an age of overwhelming noise. Notifications, news alerts, deadlines, distractions. Our body senses are bombarded every minute. But our soul senses and spirit senses are starving. Think of someone who is physically healthy but emotionally numb. Or someone brilliant in mind yet spiritually empty. They may have perfect eyesight and excellent hearing, yet be blind and deaf in deeper ways. This imbalance is everywhere. A society that values sight and sound, but ignores imagination and faith. Education systems that train the mind but neglect the heart. Or cultures that reward productivity while crushing the soul. The result? Anxiety. Division. A persistent feeling that something essential is missing. The problem isn't just external, it's internal. We are living with 2/3 of our senses asleep. Like a musician playing only one instrument while the rest of the orchestra sits silent, we are out of tune with ourselves. A glimpse of wholeness, consider Helen Keller. Deaf and blind from infancy, she had only the senses of touch and smell available to her body. And yet, through her extraordinary teacher Anne Sullivan, Helen awakened her soul senses: mind, will, emotion, affection, imagination, to such a degree that she became a writer, a speaker, a force for change. Helen Keller once said, "The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart." She was speaking of the soul and spirit senses. She knew from experience that our deepest perception has nothing to do with the eyes or ears. Your first exercise, the quiet 5 minutes. To begin awakening your other senses, start here. Find a quiet place. Close your eyes and sit still for 5 minutes. 3. As you sit, notice each physical sense one by one. What can you hear? What can you feel against your skin? Can you detect any scents or tastes? What light or darkness comes through your closed eyes? 4. Now shift inward. Hear what thoughts arise. What emotions are present? And what images or memories flicker in your imagination? Finally, take one slow breath and simply ask, what is my spirit sensing right now? Write down anything you notice. At first, the signals may seem faint or confused. Over time, they will grow clearer. The journey ahead. This book is a map for that journey. In the coming chapters, we will explore each set of senses, the 5 senses of the body, your connection to the physical world. The 5 senses of the soul, your inner landscape of thought, will, feeling, relationship, and creativity. The 5 senses of the spirit, your link to the eternal. By the end, you will not simply understand these senses, you will live them. You will taste food with new appreciation, see with new clarity, love with new depth, and meditate with new stillness. This is not theory. It is transformation. Closing reflection, imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean. The waves of sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell crash around your feet. Most people stop there, content with the shallow water. But deeper within that ocean lies another world, unseen yet waiting. The other 10 senses are beneath the surface, ready to rise. The question is not whether they exist. The question is whether you will dare to awaken them. This is your invitation. The journey to wholeness begins here. Chapter 2. The Body as Gateway. How physical senses ground human experience. Stand still for a moment and simply notice. The weight of your feet pressing into the floor, the rhythm of your breath filling and emptying your lungs, the subtle play of light and shadow around you. In this instant, before a single thought has formed, your body is already speaking. It has been speaking since the day you were born. Your 5 physical senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, are more than tools for survival. They are your first language, the primal vocabulary through which the world introduces itself to you. Long before you could name a tree or describe the sky, you felt sunlight warming your skin and heard the lullaby of your mother's voice. The body is not just flesh and bone. It is the gateway, the threshold through which we experience life. Every moment of joy, fear, wonder, and love begins here. The first connection, a newborn enters the world in a flood of sensation. A rush of cold air, the sudden glare of light, the overwhelming sound of voices, fingers grasping for warmth. Science tells us that a baby's brain is flooded with electrical activity at birth as its senses begin to fire. This is more than biology, it is a profound awakening. In that first hour of life, the infant has no language, no concepts, no beliefs, only raw sensory experience. And this is where relationship begins. When a mother holds her child, touch communicates safety. Her scent becomes a signal of home. The baby's ear turns toward the familiar rhythm of her heartbeat. From the very beginning, our 5 senses are not just about perceiving the environment. They are about bonding, about belonging to the world and to others. We come to know love through skin, eyes, and sound long before we understand the word love. The grounding role of the body. It's tempting to view the body as separate from the higher realms of mind and spirit, but in truth, the body is their foundation. Think of a tree. Its branches may stretch toward the sky, but without roots, it withers. In the same way, the soul and spirit cannot flourish if the body is neglected. When you eat nourishing food, when you walk barefoot on grass, when you breathe deeply in fresh air, you are doing more than taking care of muscles and organs. You are grounding your entire being, preparing the mind and spirit to rise. Modern science supports this. Studies in neuroscience show that sensory input directly affects emotional regulation and mental clarity. A soothing touch can calm a racing heart. The smell of lavender can lower stress hormones. Natural light can lift depression. In other words, the body's senses are not separate from the soul. They are pathways into it. When the gateway is blocked, unfortunately, in our fast-paced world, many of us have become disconnected from our own physical senses. We live in our heads, rushing from task to task, barely aware of the signals our bodies are sending. Think of the last time you truly tasted your food, savoring each bite instead of eating while scrolling through a screen. Or the last time you listened to music with your full attention instead of using it as background noise. Or when you noticed the texture of sunlight on your skin, rather than just checking the weather app. When we ignore these small moments, we begin to live in a kind of partial existence. Our body becomes a machine to be managed, not a living gateway to experience. This disconnection can lead to anxiety, fatigue, and even illness. Research has shown that stress increases when people are cut off from natural sensory experiences like nature walks, communal touch, or mindful breathing. The body's senses hunger for engagement. When starved, they send signals of distress, pain, numbness, agitation. A story of returning. Consider the story of Maria, a corporate lawyer who came to one of my workshops. On paper, she had it all. A high salary, a luxury apartment, a busy social life. But inside, she felt hollow. "I don't even know what I feel anymore," she admitted. "It's like I'm living through a screen." During a simple exercise, I asked Maria to close her eyes and focus only on her sense of touch. Slowly, she became aware of her breath, the pressure of the chair beneath her, the subtle beating of her heart. Then I handed her a smooth river stone. Tears welled up in her closed eyes as she held it. "It's the first real thing I've felt in months," she whispered. That moment was a turning point. By reconnecting with the simplest of sensations, Maria began to reconnect with herself. Her story reminds us that healing often begins with the body. The senses are always available, always ready to guide us back to presence. The science of embodied awareness. Neuroscience has a term for what Maria experienced. Interoception, the awareness of internal bodily signals. This includes noticing your heartbeat, your breath, your hunger cues, even the butterflies of nervousness before a speech. Studies show that people who practice interoception through meditation, mindful movement, or even deliberate sensory focus are better able to manage emotions and stress. Their brains display greater activity in regions linked to self-awareness and empathy. This means that simply paying attention to your senses strengthens your inner life. The body is not just a passive shell. It is a living feedback system, constantly communicating with your soul and spirit. Practice the 5-minute sensory scan. Here is a simple way to begin using your body as a gateway. 1. Find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. 2. Sit comfortably, close your eyes, and take 3 deep breaths. 3. Bring attention to each sense in turn. Sight. Notice the play of light and shadow behind your closed eyelids. And sound. Identify every layer of sound around you, from the loudest to the faintest. Smell. Inhale deeply. What scents are present in the air? Taste. Notice any lingering flavor on your tongue. Touch. Feel your clothing, the air on your skin, the weight of your body. 4. When finished, take one more deep breath and open your eyes slowly. This simple practice trains your awareness and opens the doorway to deeper senses. Over time, it will also calm the nervous system and bring a greater sense of presence to daily life. The body's whisper, the body never lies. It tells us when we are safe, when we are loved, when we are pushing beyond our limits. It speaks in subtle whispers, tight shoulders, a deep sigh, goosebumps on the skin. If we ignore these whispers, they become shouts, chronic pain, exhaustion, breakdown. But if we listen, they become guidance. The body is not an obstacle to spiritual growth. It is the first step. Through its 5 senses, we plant our feet firmly in the present moment. From that solid ground, we can begin the ascent into the soul and spirit. Closing reflection, imagine a great cathedral. Its spires reach high into the heavens, but they rest on a foundation of stone. Without that foundation, the whole structure would crumble. Your body is that foundation. Its senses are the stones beneath your feet. Honor them. Strengthen them. Listen to them. For only when the gateway is open can you travel through it and discover the higher worlds that await. Chapter 3. Sight. More than vision, what does it mean to truly see? Light travels at nearly 186,000 miles per second. It bounces off trees, faces, buildings, and oceans, carrying information about the world around us. Your eyes catch this light and send signals racing to your brain. In less than the blink of an eye, a picture forms. At first glance, sight seems purely mechanical, a biological camera capturing reality. But pause and consider this. Two people can look at the same scene and see entirely different worlds. One sees beauty, the other sees despair. One sees possibility, the other sees threat. One sees truth, the other sees only illusion. This is the mystery of sight. Vision is not just about light entering the eyes. It is about how that light is interpreted by the mind, shaped by the soul, and illuminated by the spirit. To truly see is to perceive not only what is visible, but also what lies beneath the surface. The gift and the limitation: imagine standing on a hill at sunrise. The sky glows orange and pink, clouds stretching like silk across the horizon. Birds wheel and dive through the air. Your physical eyes give you this image. The rods and cones in your retina capture shape, color, and motion. But sight is more than a photograph. It is meaning. The neuroscientist Bo Lotto once said, "We don't see the world as it is. We see the world as we are." Your brain doesn't just record light. It filters, interprets, fills gaps, and adds story. When you look at that sunrise, your memories of past mornings, your current emotions, and even your spiritual state influence what you perceive. For a grieving person, the same sunrise might feel heavy, even cruel. For someone in love, it might feel like a promise. For someone at peace, it might feel like eternity touching earth. Sight is both a gift and a limitation. It opens a window to the world, but it also reflects back the state of our inner life. This is why two people can witness the same event yet describe it so differently. They are not lying, they are simply seeing through different inner lenses. A story of blindness and vision. Consider the story of John Hull, a theology professor in England who lost his sight completely in midlife. At first, he felt devastated. His world went dark. But as the years passed, something extraordinary happened. In his memoir, Touching the Rock, Hull described how his other senses came alive. He began to hear depth in sound, to feel the shape of space through echoes and air currents. He even claimed that rain gave him a sense of the landscape as drops tapped against different surfaces. Hull discovered a profound truth. Sight is not merely in the eyes. It lives in the mind and spirit. In losing his physical vision, he gained a deeper kind of seeing, a perception of connection and meaning that went beyond form and color. His story invites us to ask, what kind of blindness might we have even with perfect 20/20 vision? The blind spots of modern life. In our modern world, we are surrounded by screens, bombarded by images every second. Advertisements, social media posts, streaming videos, breaking news. Ironically, this flood of visual input can lead to spiritual blindness. We see so much that we stop truly seeing. We glance at a friend while scrolling through our phone but never notice the sadness in their eyes. We watch a beautiful sunset but are more focused on capturing the perfect photo than feeling the moment. We skim headlines and assume we understand the world, when in truth our vision is narrow and manipulated. This is the age of distracted sight. We think we are informed, but we are simply overstimulated. We confuse looking with seeing and images with insight. The science of perception neuroscience sheds light on why true seeing is so rare. Your brain receives millions of bits of visual data per second, but it can only process a fraction of them. So it uses shortcuts, patterns, assumptions, and past experiences to fill in the blanks. This is why optical illusions work. Consider the famous image of a vase that also looks like two faces. Your eyes see the same shapes, but your brain flips between interpretations. Neither view is wrong, both are partial. This is also true of life itself. You may think you are seeing reality, but often you are seeing a mental construct shaped by belief and bias. This is why ancient wisdom traditions often speak of opening the inner eye, or seeing with the heart. They understood that true vision requires clarity of soul and spirit, not just healthy retinas. The spiritual dimension of sight, the Bible tells the story of a prophet named Elisha. One day, his servant panicked because an enemy army surrounded their city. Elisha calmly prayed, "Open his eyes, Lord, so that he may see." The servant's physical eyes were already open, but suddenly, he saw differently. He perceived horses and chariots of fire, a spiritual reality hidden beneath the physical battlefield. Whether you view this as literal or symbolic, the message is timeless. There is more to reality than meets the eye. Spiritual sight allows us to perceive meaning, purpose, and divine presence even in ordinary moments. It is the difference between staring at a storm and seeing only chaos, or seeing the possibility of renewal that the storm brings. Practice the seeing beyond exercise. Here is a simple exercise to awaken deeper vision. Choose a familiar object. It could be a cup of coffee, a flower, or even your own hand. Look at it closely for 30 seconds. Notice its colors, textures, and shapes. Now close your eyes and recall everything you just saw. Picture it in your mind's eye. Or ask yourself, what story does this object tell? What memories, emotions, or ideas does it awaken? Finally, sit quietly and ask, what is unseen here? What meaning or presence lies beneath the surface? This practice helps you move from looking to seeing, from outer vision to inner insight. When sight heals, a doctor once told me about a patient recovering from a severe illness. Each day, the patient would ask to be wheeled to the hospital garden. At first, he was too weak to do anything but look at the trees. Weeks passed. Slowly, as he watched leaves flutter in the wind and sunlight shift through branches, something stirred within him. It was as if my eyes were drinking hope, he later said. Sight can heal when it connects us to beauty, nature, and wonder. It reminds us that we are part of a living world, not just isolated bodies. Closing reflection: to truly see is to be awake. Most people live like sleepwalkers, glancing at life without perceiving its depth. But when we open our vision, body, soul, and spirit, we begin to see patterns, connections, and truths that were always there. Sight is more than a biological function. It is a spiritual art. It is the difference between looking at a stranger and seeing a soul. Between watching a storm and sensing its purpose. Between viewing the world as random and recognizing it as woven with meaning. The next time you open your eyes, ask yourself, am I simply looking, or am I truly seeing? When you begin to truly see, the ordinary world becomes extraordinary, and the visible becomes a doorway to the invisible. Through that doorway lies a new way of living, one where every glance is an act of wonder and every moment shines with light.